very special treat for you. A new original story written by me and directed by Pedro. Please enjoy. At the edge of a dense forest that almost felt alive itself, brooding and silent, overlooked the misty Blackwater Lake. A solitary lighthouse stood as a relic of a forgotten time, weathered and grey. It had been decades since any ship had passed this way, yet locals swore that on foggy nights, when the veil between worlds was thinnest, the lamp at the top would light up all on its own. Many fishermen had disappeared on these nights, taken by the lake, they said, never to be seen again. There was something sinister lurking just below the surface, something that reached out with icy fingers and pulled them down into the murky depths. Now, most people avoided this place, but there was one exception, a middle-aged woman named Alara, or Ellie to her friends. Ellie was a photographer, a seeker of the unusual, the macabre and the beautiful, and she'd heard the legends of the lighthouse, tales spun by firelight in the long winter nights about strange lights on the lake and the missing fishermen. Curiosity had gnawed at her, and finally, like a moth drawn to a flame, she had come. Ellie parked her car by the roadside and walked the final mile to the lake. It was late autumn, and the air was sharp with the bite of winter. Bare branches clawed at the sky, and the wind moaned through the naked wood, setting the dry leaves skittering and swirling along the path. But the closer she got, the more the sound of the wind died away, until an unnatural silence blanketed the forest around her. Even the bird song seemed to cease, as if the woods themselves were holding their breath. Then suddenly, there it was, the old lighthouse, looming out of the mist, like a skeletal finger pointing accusingly at the sullen sky. The iron gates were rusted shut, but Ellie slipped through a broken section in the hedge and walked right up to the front door. She knocked, her knuckles rapping hollowly against the weathered wood. She could hear the echo of her own breathing, amplified inside the stillness. But there was no reply, only the whisper of the wind in the dead leaves above her head. Ellie tried the door, surprised to find it unlocked. She pushed it open and stepped inside. The air inside was damp and smelled of salt and decay, like a dead whale washed ashore. Ellie's flashlight cut through the gloom, revealing a spiral staircase rising into darkness above her. On the wall beside it hung a tarnished lantern, its glass clouded and cracked, reflecting the light back at her, distorting her face into a grotesque mask. Then Ellie saw it, something lying open on the floor, a leather-bound journal. The pages crackled as she opened it, and the scent of mildew and decay wafted up from the brittle sheets. The ink was faded and running, but the words swam into focus before her eyes. Day 42, it began. The voices came again tonight, slithering through the cracks in the walls, slithering down the chimney. They sing to me, calling my name, telling me of an ancient hunger just below the surface. They beckon me to throw the lanterns into the water, to watch them dance and play with the flames. I can almost hear the laughter of the deep echoing in the night. The writing became frantic, the sentences running together in a breathless stream of consciousness. I must resist, the journal said. I cannot give in to their demands. If I do, I will join them in the endless night. The hunger grows stronger. It reaches out, tasting, testing. The voices whisper of a release, a sweet oblivion. They promise to ease the burden, to quell the unending thirst. But I must resist. For what waits below is not peace, but an eternity of torment. I am the keeper of the light. I must not falter. If I fail, darkness will claim all. The journal abruptly ended. The last page torn out, ripped away in in some moment of frenzy. Ellie shuddered. Who was this man? How had he resisted? And then given in? Why did the voice want him to throw the lanterns into the water? And why were they laughing? What did they want from him? And more importantly, what did they want from her? As if summoned by her thoughts, a gust of wind suddenly slammed the door shut behind her. The lighthouse was plunged into darkness. Ellie gasped, scrambling for her flashlight, her heart pounding like a drum solo in her chest. She shone the beam around frantically, searching for another exit. But there wasn't one. The door was locked, bolted on the outside. Trapped, she realised with a jolt, remembering the words from the journal. The hunger grows stronger. It reaches out, tasting, testing. Had the lighthouse keeper been trapped here too? Was he still here? She pressed her back against the wall, sliding down until she was sitting on the floor, trying to calm her racing heartbeat. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of her own ragged breathing. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm her, she heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from just beyond the door. Whatever was out there was big, powerful, and hungry. Then a sudden scratching sound made her freeze. It was coming from inside the lighthouse. Slowly, cautiously, she moved toward the noise, shining her light ahead of her, trying to make sense of the sound. It sounded like fingernails dragging metal moans. Then she saw it, a section of the wall, scratched and gouged as if someone, or something, had been trying to claw their way through. And then, as if in response to her thoughts, the wall gave way and the creature stepped through. See? Ellie screamed, scrambling backward as it emerged into the room. But whatever it was, it paid her no heed, focusing instead on the lantern hanging from the wall. It reached out a gnarled hand, its fingers tipped with claws like hooks, and ripped the lantern free. Glass shattered as it swung, sending shards glittering through the air, but the creature seemed oblivious to the pain. It clutched the lantern in its hand, and as it did, the room was bathed in a sudden, brilliant light. For a moment, Ellie couldn't see anything. Not the creature, not herself, not the spiral staircase behind her. She shielded her eyes, blinking against the brightness. Then she looked up. The creature was gone, and in its place was the faint outline of a man, shimmering as though made of mist. But then the mist cleared, and the man solidified until he was standing there before her, solid, real, and in his hand he held the lantern like a torch. "Who are you?" Ellie managed to stammer, her voice shaking. The man didn't answer. Instead, he raised the lantern higher, and Ellie saw that it was giving off an eerie green glow, like flames burning a sickly emerald fire. His face was shrouded in shadows, but she could see the glint of his eyes, cold and hard as polished stones. Then he spoke, and his voice was like gravel grinding on bone. "The hunger is appeased for now. You have brought me sustenance, little moth, and for that I am grateful." He took a step toward her, and Ellie instinctively backed away, knocking over a bucket that sent a cascade of rusty chains clattering to the floor. The man stopped, tilting his head as if listening to something. Then he continued forward. "You should not be here, child. This place is not for the living." Ellie wanted to scream, to run, but terror had frozen her in place. All she could do was stare as the man approached, the green light from the lantern dancing in his eyes. "Why are you here?" he asked again, and this time his voice was sharp, edged with something dangerous, predatory. "Why have you come to disturb the slumbering things?" But before Ellie could speak, the man lunged. He grabbed her throat and squeezed, his grip like iron. She clawed at his hands, trying to gouge out his eyes, but it was no use. she saw was the lantern falling from his slack grasp, plunging them into darkness as she blacked out. When the villagers came searching the next day, they found the lighthouse empty. Ellie's car was parked where she'd left it, but the door was unlocked, the windows smashed, and the lighthouse was empty. Ellie's camera lay on the floor, still recording. In the footage, the last frame showed her own reflection in the lamp glass, her eyes wide with terror, staring back as the fog slowly swallowed the lighthouse